Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. We're back to doing some bonsai work today after moving the greenhouse on the weekend. We rented a U-Haul truck to move all the pieces of the greenhouse to our property here. And it was a warm day, but it was horrendous. It rained the entire day and the rain turned to snow in the evening. My wife and I picked the truck up at 9:30 in the morning and we didn't get finished till well after dark. I didn't do a lot of filming that day because, as I said, it was pouring rain. But I did manage to get a brief clip, and I'll show you that now. Hi everyone, it's moving day for the new greenhouse. We've got the U-Haul truck rented over here. And we've spent the entire day loading it up and unloading it. We just finished our second trip. So we're going back to get the plastic now and some of the windows, and that'll be about it for today. So the arches fit quite nicely in the truck. We just kind of arched them so they went up to the top corner. We could fit a whole bunch of arches across. We left an aisleway, had all the poles and other things on the other side there. So I'll show you what we moved today. It was quite a haul. I'm very tired actually. So we'll just come back here in the backyard. And here we are. So I've got all the arches there, all the steel panels for the knee wall here, all the poles over here, poles and tubes and cross beams. Yeah, so that's a lot of weight we carried today, but getting there, almost done. And it's starting to get dark out, so I'm going to put the camera away. We've just got maybe an hour of daylight left, enough to do one more load, and that'll be it. It'll be done. The greenhouse will be moved. Today I'll be working on my Pink Pixie Bougainvillea Bonsai here in the bonsai zone. My Pink Pixie Bougainvillea was in our fall club show this year. So over the summer I had let it grow to get flowers on all the growing tips. The tree has lost a lot of its shape. There's a lot of shoots growing vertical that had the flowers on them. So it needs pruning back. And I have to decide if I want to defoliate it and then prune the structure, or try and prune the structure with the leaves on. In most years when I bring my Bougainvillea indoors for the winter, because of the sudden change of light, it goes from the outdoor light to the indoor light, it usually drops almost all its leaves. This year, I think because I have my LED lights on, it's kept most of its leaves, and it's actually started to grow really well. My aim for this tree is to keep it fairly small, but of really good quality, so all the features of an old mature tree, but in a small size. I've never leaf pruned my Bougainvillea before, but because it's growing so well and so healthy, I think I will defoliate it for the first time and then really go in and look at the structure and get it all pruned up. After the pruning today, I'll keep the tree underneath this grow light. That'll give it lots of light until it grows its new leaves in. We've had a very cloudy winter this year so far, very few sunny days. So I think if I was relying on just natural sunlight, I probably wouldn't defoliate this tree now. I'd probably wait till later on in January when the sun's shining a little stronger and you get more sunny days. This tree is quite balanced. The lower branches are growing with equal vigor as the upper part of the tree. If you had an imbalance in your tree, if you had weak foliage on the lower part of the tree, you may not want to do total defoliation. You may only want to defoliate the upper part of the tree that has more vigor. I'm going to start defoliating now, so here I go. I will be cutting this branch off, but I'll defoliate it anyway. That way we can see the structure really clearly before I start pruning. I'm just leaving a little bit of the leaf stem on, or the petiole, And I'm not pulling the leaves off because I don't want to damage the buds that grow at the base of the leaves. As I'm working away on the tree here, I'm also looking at the branches and kind of studying them, giving me an idea of what I'll be pruning. It's also a good time to check if you have any pests or disease or anything. You'll see it as you're examining all the leaves. I haven't seen anything going wrong so far. Everything looks in good order. The Bougainvillea doesn't really have a true form. It's a vine. So I have to copy a tree shape, and the best tree that looks similar to the Bougainvillea is the catalpa tree. It has a similar shaped leaf, and it has big leaves, so I'm going to try and train this tree to look like a miniature catalpa tree. So before I prune this tree, I'll have a look at my file on catalpa trees, all the pictures I have on file of them, and just have a look at the tree form of the catalpa, looking for its natural growth patterns and habits. That'll give me an idea of how to prune this one up. I have just a few more leaves to take off, and the defoliation will be done. I'm looking at the structure of the tree now. So the main trunk comes up here. It's all looking good. And up in this upper division here, where it goes from one trunk into these multi-trunks to form the canopy, I notice the one is getting quite thick, the one that goes off this direction. So that'll have to be pruned back a little harder to try and equalize the balance in all these upper canopy type branches. Here's a close-up of that branch. You can see it comes up, and then it divides from 1 into 3 here. So there's a little one on the inside, one on the outside, and a thick one growing up the middle. I can remove that central one, the thickest one, and keep my finer branching on each side. So I'll do that. I'll come in with my branch pruners. Find that junction point right here, and here I go. Done. I'm looking at this branch again. I have that thicker trunk coming up, and then there's kind of 2 upright type trunks coming off of it. I don't really like that. I think this one, the back one, needs pruning back. There's a side branch coming off here. So I could prune this one back. I think I will. I'll prune it back to right here for now. That eliminates those 2 kind of leaders competing with each other. This will become more of a side branch. The next branch that needs correcting is this one. You can see it comes out and then it just shoots straight up towards the sky, and it's really tall. So that'll have to be pruned back. There's an overall view of that tall branch. So it's going to need pruning back, and I probably want my branching to start somewhere at kind of this level. So it'll be cut back quite a bit. So I'm looking, there's some branches developing along this shoot. There's a nice one that kind of comes forward here. So I'm going to take this branch right back to here. I think I'll use my branch cutters for that. So here I go. There. The other one beside it or behind it also needs pruning back. So again, I'm looking for buds, doing directional pruning. There's one here that's facing the outside, so I'll prune it back just slightly above that one to there. And that gets that branch a lot shorter and more compact. I'm looking at that same branch again here. It's quite thick compared to the others, almost twice as thick, and that worries me. I think I've got to prune it back even more. Otherwise it'll just, regain its vigor and just keep growing thicker than all the other ones in the area. And I want to grow the canopy kind of evenly. So I think I'm going to have to knock that back, and I may even take this entire leader off here and just keep this small one at the back. I think I will. So here I go. I'm going to come in here and prune it off. Like that. Not a bad cut. I can clean it up just a little bit here. Like that. I have a little branch growing underneath that number 2 branch here, so I'm going to clean that out. That looks good. The next step will be to prune the overall height of the canopy down. And I want to keep it quite short. And I have a lot of fairly long, branches without any divisions yet, because it's kind of been let to grow to flower. So I've got to pick a height for my tree. Kind of trying to put my hand in front here. It's a difficult decision. If I prune too low, then I don't get a very wide canopy because it spreads out. So the higher I go, I get a wider crown to the tree. If I prune it down short, I'll have, all the start of a wide canopy, but it won't have grown in yet. This is the branch or upright trunk that I first started pruning. So I was thinking that would be a good height for my canopy. So if I form a rounded canopy based on that height, here I go. You can always start a little higher and then, lower it if you think it still looks too high, but you don't have to do everything at once. I'll stand back and have a look at that. That's looking quite good. I'll just make a few adjustments to get my canopy a nice rounded canopy on top. I've got to lower this one just a bit. That's not bad. I'm noticing there's a branch here that grows up in front of the main trunk behind it. So it kind of clashes or interferes. A lot of bonsai trees, you can see the trunk line too clearly. It comes up and you can see the whole trunk line right up to the kind of the canopy height. I do like when there's, a bit of a branch kind of crossing here and there in front of the trunk. So you kind of got to move your eye around to see the rest of the trunk line. Kind of forces you to explore the tree. So I'm looking at this one and it's not the worst thing in the world. I think what I'll do is just prune it off here a little shorter. Like that. So it's still there, but it's not competing with the main leader. It's just enough, I think. Next, I'm going to clean up this number 1 branch here, or the lowest branch. Again, it's growing out and then it shoots straight up to the sky. So that definitely has to be pruned back. So this branch here, I'm just going to prune the tip off to encourage some more branching. Same with this one. Like that. There's one at the back here that's growing very tall and vertical. I can prune that one back. Maybe to here. And this one definitely needs pruning back. I'll try it here. I'll see how that looks. I don't mind the branch tip here kind of reaching to the sky. I think that looks quite natural. I don't like the one that's in front of it here. It kind of competes. I think that would look better as a shorter branch off this, this main part of the branch here. So I think I'm going to have to hard prune it back. So I have a branch here, so if I make it just a little bit shorter than this one, I think all will be good. I'm going to go right here. Like that. I've got a little cleanup work I can do on this branch here. There's some growth underneath this branch that we don't need. There's another branch growing inside here that I don't need. Next, I have some long growth at the back here, and this branch is growing long, so they have to be pruned back. So I will... This one is quite long and skinny without much taper. It has movement, but it doesn't have any taper, so it's got to be pruned back fairly short. I do have a branch forming here. There's one up here. I'm going to take it right back to this branch here. Like that. I'm going to prune this branch. There's a little branch forming out here, so I'm going to take it off right here. Like that. And then I have these two out the back, which I want to shorten also. So I'll look for an outward facing leaf or a branch. I think I'll take it right here. And right here. There is a little branch here that's growing that I want to remove too. Just clean that area up a bit. One here. Looks better. I'll put all these cuttings in water and see if I can root them. And I'll clean up the mess here, and then we'll have a look at the tree. There's a look at the tree. I am going to clean up some of this moss at the base here too. It's getting a little thick and growing up the roots and the trunk. I may have to get my toothbrush out and give it a good scrubbing. Yeah, the moss is starting to grow up here. A bit of algae on there too. So I'll sort of clear away a ring of moss around the base of the tree. And that'll keep the trunk and the roots moss free for a while until it grows back. I'll give it a wash with just plain rainwater. And we'll use the toothbrush and kind of brush that algae off. That's looking better. Now I can start to see the roots and the bark, and it doesn't look like a green blob at the base. Here's a shot of the base of the tree. You can see this root is kind of bulging out a bit here. I don't know if I can do much about that. I do want it to flow nicely from the trunk line down into the soil. We'll just have to see how it develops, I guess. It is getting quite wide at the root base here. I hope it's not getting too wide. I don't want it to look, you know, like a big bulbous root base and this trunk coming out of it. So we'll keep our eyes on that, and you know, if I have to take corrective action in the future, I'll see what I can do. I'll come up with a plan. The upper part of the tree is looking quite old and majestic, and it's starting to look like a miniature tree. I'll rotate the tree around 360 degrees so we can have a look at the tree from all angles. It's time now for today's update. Today's update is my Croton bonsai. Has nice colorful leaves. I've had this for probably 3 years now. It started from a small cutting. And last winter I pruned this tree And I got a cutting off it that's growing as a bonsai also. My Croton is growing well, but it's growing these long straight branches, so it needs pruning back to get some more ramification. Here's a shot of where I pruned the tree last winter. This trunk was growing up and I pruned it here, and I only got one new branch growing up. So hopefully this time when I prune it here, I'll get, more subdividing. There is a nice bud here that's swelling. So I think when I prune it here, it'll activate that bud to grow also. This side trunk, it's also growing quite long and straight, so it'll need pruning back also. So here I go with the pruning. I'll prune, I think there's an outward facing leaf here, so I can prune just above that to right here. So here I go. Then on the branch, or this side trunk, there's a couple of outward facing leaves here, so I think I'll prune it just above. I think my card filled just before I cut this one branch off, but there's what it looks like now. So that's all the pruning on this one for now. I'll put it away and we'll get out the cutting. So this cutting had a nice radial root system when I planted it in here. So it's growing really well. And I think I'll also just prune it off shorter to here. And I think to here. And we'll let them grow. I'll try and root these cuttings too. So I'll just pull off the lower leaves like that. And then I'll stick them in water and hopefully they'll root. Maybe all these cuttings and my trees will create a nice colorful forest someday. You've probably heard in the background in a lot of my videos some cats meowing, and I've had a request, someone wanted to see what the cats look like, so I'll bring them in one at a time. Normally they're not allowed in the plant room. They'll probably tip plants over, and I have plastic on the windows that they could break too, so they always want to come in here with me. But you're not allowed, are you? You're a roly-poly cat. Eh? Yeah. Okay, I'll go get the next one. You'll have to leave. Sorry. You'll have to leave. Oh my goodness, what a sucky cat you are. Bit of a sucky cat too. Eh? Are you a bit of a sucky cat? Yeah. Yeah, hello. I think Fluffy's been in one of the other videos. She was like sleeping in the background or something. Say hi, Fluffy. There you go. Yeah. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.